this is Greg Anderson, and this is the Living in Carver County podcast. It's an insider's conversation with the people who make Carver County what I feel is the best place to live, work, and I've put that little caveat in there, the best place to live, work, and raise a family. I'm excited today about my guest because we have been kind of going back and forth for some time, trying to get our schedules to align and to be able to have him here. His name is Bhante Sathi, and he runs the Triple Gem of the North, which is the Mindfulness Center located in downtown Chaska. So Bhante, thank you for agreeing to do this, and I'm delighted to see you, your smiley face today.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much for having me and accommodating with me for fitting into this schedule as you can. And thank you very much for having me.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you. What I like to start off with is, giving people a little context. So, maybe if you could share with us, with the listeners, maybe just what your background is, where did you grow up and how did you end up in Chaska, Minnesota?
Okay. I grew up in Sri Lanka, which is the country south of India on the Indian Ocean. Beautiful country. And I raised and grew up, and then I get a training as a Buddhist monastic about 8 years. And I moved to US. Actually, I was originally came to US for 6 months. I was thinking I'll go there only for 6 months, but I was invited for 2 years. And I went back as I promised myself I'll be back in 6 months. But first I was in Southfield, Michigan, and I was leading meditation classes and teaching meditation for the people in that area. Then I came back to Michigan again a few months later. First time I came to Minnesota in 2000. I was invited by Tibetan Buddhist Cultural Center in Minneapolis, and they wanted me to lead a meditation for a group of the monks, monastics. I led the meditation, and actually, His Holiness Dalai Lama joined at the last day for the retreat, and he was the one actually who gave us the lunch that day. Now, this is about 2000. This is 2001. So since then, I came to Minnesota time to time from Michigan to lead meditation retreats. But 2003, I decided to stay here a few more months and to lead more meditation. That is the time we established the Triple Gem of the North. Um, then I led meditation in Chanhassen, a library, and Mankato, Minnesota, at the Unitarian Church, and another place in Roswell area. So that is how I started to teach meditation classes. That all came because of the people's request. And I really enjoyed being here in Minnesota. So still I'm here. And we opened up the center in Chaska 2015, Mindfulness Center.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, then 2 years later, we opened up another retreat center in Janesville, Minnesota, which is Metta Meditation Center. Now, Mindfulness Center in Chaska is the place that people can come and practice meditation for a short time. In weekly basis, classes are there. And also at Janesville, Minnesota, the retreat center is where people are coming for overnight retreats.
Okay.
So that's about me and what I
Okay.
do.
All right. So I want to go back just a little bit on some of the things that you talked about. Now, when you were a young man in Sri Lanka, so when you went for your training, was it for the purposes of being a monk or was it part of college or what does that look like? I guess what's your if you have title,
Mhm.
what would that be? Or explain how that works?
Actually, yes, and I was at the school at that time, and I was going in the engineering route, and I wanted to be an because I like math very much at that time. At the same time, I was very curious about the mind. Uh, Even though my family did not want me to choose this path, I convinced my family to agree and support me. And then I joined with the monastery. The main purpose was to just to get to know my mind and develop my mind and practicing meditation. So I found in that way I have more access into the teachings of the Buddha. And at that time, I I noticed there are a lot of teachings regarding mind. And also I like psychology at that time. I learned Western psychology a lot, but I found more deep uh, about mind in the teachings of the Buddha. It is merely
Were you,
about
I'm sorry, excuse me, were you Buddhist were you growing up? Were you Buddhist or?
yes, I was
Okay,
and
all right. So it
uh,
wasn't, they didn't, it's not like you left the faith of your family and
no,
did, okay, all right, sorry.
yeah,
So you were kind of digging in deeper into into
that's right,
this spiritual aspect, but it was primarily to develop your mind initially?
definitely. And
Okay,
actually, my route was mostly when you call Buddhist, and you can see the cultural Buddhist practices is different than the practice. And cultural Buddhist practices based on the tradition and the culture. They come with a lot of rituals, that type of practices. But I was not interested of those at all. My family was not a religious family.
okay,
And we might go to temple as a family once a month, and some ritualistic practice for somebody in the family dead situation or the funeral, some funeral situations. Otherwise, my family don't go to a temple. But my route was I went to monastery to find out what are the teachings they have regarding mind. And that hooked me up with it, and I want to seek more.
nice.
Uh,
Okay,
yes.
so then, so as you were in the monastery, then did you earn the right of, are you technically then a monk or?
Yes, then I after a few months and I wanted to choose the path of being a monk to get the monastic training. And with the monastic training, I want to see how disciplines and all of others helping me to find myself developing mind, because being a monk is about way of life. And with that way of life, you can choose many paths, but I choose the path of practicing meditation.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's what brought you then to Michigan. And I'm sorry, what city were you in Michigan?
I was in Southfield, Michigan.
Southfield.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So born and raised in South Detroit then, right?
Close to Detroit, 20 minutes away from Detroit. Yes. Half an hour to Detroit.
Okay. All right. So now you're here in Chaska and you're running the mindfulness center and then the retreat, and that's in what city again? I'm so sorry.
So the retreat center in Janesville, Minnesota.
Where is
South
Janesville?
James, that's a good question. Living in Carver County, asking where Janesville is. It is 50 minutes south of here in Chaska. It is actually east of Mankato, Minnesota,
Okay.
114, and east of Mankato, west of Waseca.
Got it.
Um,
Okay.
yes.
All right. And then is that a facility that you lease space in, or do you own that or?
Yes, actually, it was a facility that running by the Catholic nuns. And Catholic nuns also ran that place as a retreat center. It's a beautiful property by Lake Elysian, 38 acres of the property, and the beautiful retreat centers there. I really enjoy the sunset every night. We have some cabins where people can come and do practice meditation for the personal meditation cabins, and also the retreat center we have, which we can accommodate about up to 40 people per night facility, where we use right now for presidential retreats, meditation retreats. Um, Either I'm in Chaska here, Minnesota, or I'm leading retreats down there and most weekends.
Okay. So with respect to the meditation center, you know, you mentioned the objective, you know, learning about your mind and things. I didn't get the sense between the conversations that we're having now and the conversations we had offline that that the facilities about what in the Christian tradition is called proselytizing, you know, where
Mhm,
you're trying to convert people.
mhm.
Is that accurate?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Because
So people that have, you know, faith traditions that that they have an affinity to, um, should they be worried about, you know, the mindfulness
no,
center, or is it
no, actually. So
okay?
we have people, we have, I would say 99% of the people who go to church and also who come to meditation to practice meditation here at the center with us. Because practicing meditation is not a faith. Practicing meditation is a practice which is helping you to develop your mindfulness and self-awareness. And we always tell people, keep your religion with you. You don't have to let go or give up your religion in order to practice meditation. Because practicing meditation is about seeing yourself. And also when you talk about the Buddha's teachings, Buddha was highly disagree of missionary work. I mean, converting somebody into a religion. For me, Buddhist teachings is something that anybody can use. You don't have to be Buddhist. And when you call Buddhist, it is that term given by people who don't know about this practice, I would say.
Okay.
Because there's nobody can claim, hey, I am Buddhist. Or only unless if you want to say that I am following the path of being Buddhist. Buddhist means there should be the meaning of the Buddhist means one who is seeking wisdom. That way anybody can claim they as a Buddhist and also they can go to own church at the same
Hmm.
time.
So practice Buddhist, um, avail yourself to Buddhist practices without having to um, worship Buddha or
Definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. Yes.
got it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I figured you had that might be the case given the fact I grew up Catholic, and so if you were able to convince the nuns to work something out, then that probably is
We
either it's not threatening or you're a really good negotiator.
actually, and after we move into the retreat center, and nuns were there about 6 months with us together, and they really enjoyed. And still, when the nuns are in the area, they definitely visit us, and we also visit those nuns in Rochester. And also, I have a lot of Christian and Catholic priests coming to the retreats, meditation, and the cabins, and I am leading some meditation classes at the Catholic churches. So because this time of the world, I think it's a wonderful time because people can understand each other very well without that placing those boundaries. Let me tell you one example. At the beginning of 2000, we wanted to find a place space for meditation practice in one of the church in around Burnsville area. I don't want to say the name.
Mhm.
But at that time, when one of our friends contact that church, that particular priest at that time said, "Oh, we don't value this practice. It's a cult. Don't
Mm.
come to church." Now, I went to that same church to give a talk on Sunday morning about loving kindness, and 2 years later, then I told them, "This is what happened 2 years ago. I was not welcome to this church. Now you are having me at your main mass as a guest speaker. And look at the change."
That's a
So,
great story.
yeah.
So you mentioned the practices of Buddha, and I'm not getting too far into that lane, but you said that it's about that moving towards wisdom. So if you could give somebody um, a recommendation about the path of wisdom following the teachings, what would be maybe a couple of key lessons that would be useful for people in terms of following it. And we'll talk about the meditation thing separately, but in terms of what you're doing, but just in a broader sense, what are some of the or perhaps misconceptions that people have about the faith?
Well, yeah, number one, I would say, and most people don't know, and Buddha mentioned many times, don't just believe just because I'm saying. You have on your own mind, check with yourself. And you only has to follow what your heart says. That's one thing. And the other thing, what I would say, most people, most people talk about, oh, Buddhist teachings is about suffering. Well, that's a wrong idea. And there's one of the famous quote people use. People says life is suffering. That's about Buddhism. No, because suffering is the word in English word given to Pali word, original language of the Buddhas called Pali. That word is dukkha. Dukkha means not the suffering. Dukkha means the reaction that you have due to the experience.
Ah,
Reaction.
sure.
Now, reaction lead into either happiness or unhappiness. We call pleasure or pain. That's a reaction.
Hmm.
Now,
So
what
you're driving down the road on trying to get back from White Bear Lake, and a car cuts you off.
nothing you can do
That's not suffering.
is not
It's
suffering.
the space then between that and then the meaning you assign to it, which
That's
then
right.
changes either into suffering or perhaps curiosity. I wonder why that person's in such a hurry or
Let's say
something like
the same
that.
experience. Now, same experience. Think about this. Somebody just cut you off on the road, and if you are somebody who's not mindful, you think, how come that person did that? How
Hmm.
come then you are burning yourself inside your car for somebody who did something outside of your car. Then inside your car you have big fire, and you're blaming maybe everybody in the sky, and you are not happy, or you are not relaxed, and you are frustrated, you are angry. Same time, somebody who's mindful or who has compassion might say, oh, this person did that. This person is not mindful as I am right now. Then you just calm yourself down. You don't have to you have to do anything. You are glad because you did not meet into any accident due to that unmindful activity.
So you have a choice in terms of how you respond. You could respond
Definitely.
with gratitude. Oh, I'm glad they didn't hit me.
That's right.
Or anger, how could they be so mean? Or curiosity, I wonder why they're in such a hurry. Maybe their wife was in a car accident and they're going to the hospital, or there was some kind of crisis or something, and then that changes how you respond. Is that the meaning? That
Yeah,
are you
that's right.
clear?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now, so now the question is how you can become that mindful person. If you become that mindful person, your natural reaction would be compassion or love. But if you are not a mindful person, your natural reaction can be anger or frustration. Now, this practice is about switching you from anger to compassion, from frustration to being mindful. That's what the practice do. Then it naturally you become that person.
Hmm, interesting. And so is that when you're leading a, meditation class, say in Chaska, um, what's the objective? What's you as the instructor, what's your outcome? And then what are you, for lack of a better way, prescribing that the students have as an outcome? Or is it an awareness? Or is there a goal? I mean, this is be coming from my background, right? That
Uh-huh.
everything has a goal.
That's right.
There's a beginning and an end. So
Yeah.
I see the world through that lens.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I was curious how when you- from first. So let's take that as the first part. So what's your objective as the leader of the class?
Well, yeah, there because I'm hearing few questions behind that question. Number
Okay.
one, what I'm hearing is what is my personal goal? My personal goal is practicing self-awareness together with others.
Okay, wait, let me just process that. Practicing self-awareness
Self-awareness
together.
together.
Okay.
Now, this is like self-awareness or with self-reflection, it is just like looking at yourself through mirror. Once you can look at yourself through mirror, you can see yourself clearly, but you have to have a clear mirror to do that. Now, meditation is about mm, polishing that mirror to be able to see yourself clearly,
Okay.
not as how you like to say, the way how you are.
So polishing the mirror, not polishing yourself before you go into the mirror.
No,
Okay.
that's right. That is about mindfulness. Now, to do this practice, it is easy to do with a group
Why is that?
because then you have group support. Now think about this. You go to gym, then when you are at a gym, you are doing workout. But if you try to do the same workout at home by yourself, you get into a lot of excuses. I know a lot of people who bought the treadmill to run at the COVID time. Right now, they are using those machines to dry their clothes. Because, but if you go to gym,
Those would be in Nordic tracks. Okay.
but once when you go to gym, what's happened? You see other people are doing it, then they encourage you indirectly to do your workout.
So social support, social proof.
Definitely, yes. And
Okay.
mindfulness, so practicing meditation, just like a mind workout. It's
All
a
right.
mind.
But that does, and that doesn't diminish it in the sense of I need this sort of structural support of people being there, because if the objective is to look in that mirror more, or look into the mirror more, polish the mirror, if you will,
Mhm.
it that's enough of a goal in itself, that even if I'm weak and I need the social support, it's still enough of a goal or objective that that's okay.
That's right.
It doesn't diminish it by having to
It
have a
does not.
group.
No,
Okay.
no, it does not.
And it
Actually,
doesn't make it stronger and conversely, it doesn't make it stronger if you can do it by yourself.
well, you can do it by yourself if
But
you
there's
are
not a, I mean, I guess, is there an objective that you're trying to get to? Is the purpose of going in the group to
Mhm.
build up the muscles, if you will, so
Definitely.
that you can do it on your own without the support system in place?
So you can do it by yourself if you have enough discipline to do it. Just same like workout.
Okay.
But if you don't have enough discipline to do it, then there are a lot of excuses can take you away from your practice. Therefore, people find, and I find, always your practice is getting better with the group.
Okay. And then at a certain point, um, okay, I'm sorry. I had a question there and then I lost it. So
Yeah.
sorry. It's okay. So, but oh, I know. So the idea, because like the idea of exercise would be that you get to a fitness level
Mhm.
that you can either do it by yourself, but it becomes part of you. It's not so much about like a goal in terms of the fitness level. It's about ingratiating the habit into your nervous system so that it just becomes part of who you are. Is that kind of the higher level of this then? Am I thinking
Right.
about that the right way?
That's right. Yes, yes. Let me add a few more things. Now think about this. As now, if you happen to have a good, strong physical body, that body can mainly do two things. Number one, that body can handle challenges without letting it break. Which means if you have very good fit body, then if you happen to fell down, and maybe you will not break your arm or leg
Hmm.
because you know how to fall down, and your body is stronger. But if you are not flexible, or if you don't have a good fit body, you might have more damage. And number two, then you are gaining the immunity from outside challenge. Like somebody who has a strong body might not get sick quickly as some others. Your body has more ability to fight. Same way, when you have a stronger mind with a mind workout, the you will not get angry like like others do. You will not get down.
Reaction. Yeah,
Yeah,
being that reactive mode.
that's right. Yes.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is it's about protection,
Mm-hmm.
self-preservation, protection, that you build up you build up the strength, the mental strength, and is
Yeah.
using the physical analogy. You build up the strength to handle adversity,
Mm-hmm.
and also the strength to um, not fall ill, to not start to go in a different direction.
Definitely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that way, still you protect who you are. If you can protect who you are, you can help to protect others also. Now, as a simple example, when the challenge happen in the life, if you can protect who you are able to protect your family also from the same challenge. Now, what happened
Ah, so
when
like a positive infection.
definitely,
Okay.
really that way you are protecting you and you're protecting others around you. But if you are become a weak person who get reaction all the time, you can protect yourself and you will not protect others around you because you are harming them also as a part of your reaction. Think about
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Angry
yeah.
people too. When you are angry, you shout at others, or you do something out of anger. That means you are not protecting you. You harm yourself while you're harming others.
Like hurt people thing.
That's right. That's right.
There, Stephen, you're talking about that reaction time in I listened to an interview with Stephen Covey. He's the guy who wrote The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and he was talking about the way that they parented with all their children. They
Mm,
were Latter-day Saints, so they have a very large family. That there's necessarily a correlative, but anyway, so he had a lot of children. And so we talked about with their kids, one of the things that they would do is if the kids were in that reaction mode where they didn't recognize the space between what happened and the way you respond, they would tease each other like they were primates. They would go ooh 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 and start doing the monkey sound,
exactly.
and because it was funny, so then they would start, like, they couldn't stay angry because all the other kids were going ooh 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 ooh, making the monkey sound, because they weren't recognizing that they had a choice in that space between the stimulus and the response.
That's right. That's right. That's
And you're
amazing.
saying, and what I'm hearing you say is that the better that you are at recognizing that gap,
Mm-hmm.
that it's healthy for you, and then the ripple effect of that is it demonstrates that skill and creates the space that makes for healthier family members. Is that?
And not only that, think about how much you can help them to change. Let me bring you one example, and you can try this. Think somebody just reacting you or screaming at you. When you find such a time, if you happen to respond to that person with a calm voice, calm sound, and you can see how much that is influencing other person to change. Because the opposite is happening all the time. Imagine somebody walk into your home with at screaming and with lot of angry, and you can see how quickly that anger is contagious. Then all of a sudden you find all the family members are angry. You don't know why, but everybody react with that anger. Now, in the same way, those good qualities also contagious. But if you are mindful, you can influence on others.
Hmm.
Now,
I
to have that control, I mean, have that reaction, have noticing it. That's come from the training and the practice of being knowing who you are, having that ability of reflecting yourself, seeing yourself.
Well, okay. Ideally, it comes without the mindful practice, it might never come, right?
Probably
But
not.
ideally, it comes from age and hopefully perspective, you know, that you realize when for example, when I'm teaching people about negotiating, and, there's that fighting fire with fire,
Mhm.
that sort of old school, the win-lose idea and the problem is when you play the jerk card, it's like it's out there and you can't take it back.
That's right.
It's always available to you if you need it, but
Uh-huh.
once you play it, then that's the rest of the rest of the interaction is got that, and then it just never gets back to that place. Okay, so that's a good question then. Is there, well, we'll see if it's a good question. It's the one that
Uh-huh.
popped into my head. I don't know if it's
Uh-huh.
good. So,
Sorry. Uh-huh.
if you do that,
Mhm.
and and what is a way to rectify or to try to change the energy around that interaction? There's somebody in my world, if I walk in, this person, the mood of this person impacts everybody around this
Mhm.
person because it's so apparent in the tonality,
Mhm.
the just all the energy around the response to something like good morning. And you just know, you can feel it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's palpable. And so if the initial response is to respond in kind, how do you what's a way to kind of change that
So,
energy?
so that means now, think about living in Minnesota. We are, we are, we know how we are dealing in the winter. Inside the house is warm, outside the house is cold. What do you do to protect this warm house? You open the door, then you close the doors, you shut the door very quickly. If you keep the door open long time, you know that strong coldness will get into house and house also will get colder. So now the question is, why those negative actions influence us so badly? Because our positive attitude or our positiveness is not strong enough. If your compassion is strong enough, anger cannot get into you and destroy that compassion.
So you haven't built up the compassion
That's
muscles
right. That's right.
through the
You
practice.
have to have strong muscles.
Oh,
But
cool. We did a loop. We came back.
but once when you have stronger muscles, that anger will not be strong enough to affect you. It doesn't matter how angry other people are, then you don't pay attention to them because you don't see value in that anger.
All right, so let's talk about that a little bit, Sathi, Bhante. When you what's the practice when somebody if somebody comes at you really aggressively? What are you focusing on? Is it just, I mean, have you developed your muscles to the point where it just sort of like you're like Teflon and it just sort of bounces off of you, or
Yes.
do you rechannel that energy in sort of a Tai Chi where you just sort of
Uh-huh.
remanipulate it? I mean,
Actually, so
what's
now,
the head game on
so what
that?
is happening, this is not something going to happen in one night or one day. This happened. You need to really help you to develop these muscles, and that muscle developing that muscles will give you ability to see this. As example, think about this: somebody walking into you with a running nose during the COVID time. Then what do you do? Right after you notice that person, you assume, oh, this person might have COVID. What do? You keep your distance.
Mhm.
But if you are not aware of it, what will happen? If you happen to be ignored what you happen to see, that ignorance will let that person get closer and infected you. You let anger to get infected because you are not aware of it when it come from outside. Number
So
two,
upriver,
that's
trying to
right.
anticipate things upriver by an awareness.
Awareness is the key here.
Okay.
Being aware right away, this is what going on, this is this person needs. Now,
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there for a second because I think the at least from in my perspective is the idea of a monk is that their entire focus was internal. They're in this meditative state and they're sort of just blissfully unaware of what's going on. And you're saying it's just the opposite. It's an outward focus and an awareness. Is that
Definitely, because this idea of monk came from the traditional Christian tradition.
okay?
That idea is what we are carrying right now, thinking about that word monk.
Okay.
So, but as a mindful person, is being really aware of the outside and also being aware of the inside, both at the same time. Now, once when you, because then you are not a hider, you don't hide from the world. Idea of a mindful person is living in the world and without fear, without being scared of the world, by knowing every single person is part of the world.
Hmm.
You are not running away, you're not hiding from the world. You allow yourself to survive in the world without living in that pain.
Okay. So you become aware of this energy. So the person, going back to your example, so a person comes in, they're very aggressive, and
Mhm,
you're doing a calculation. So it's like you're doing an external check, then an internal check, then an external check. Is
mhm.
that what's going on? What are they doing? What is this about? How am I going to respond? Then responding. Is that kind of the sort of chain of thought
Yeah,
or
and that is happening very quickly. That is happening very
Mhm.
quickly because you are being aware of this person and what is happening underneath there. Then you will have your compassion for the person who is struggling with this anger. Then you will not present anger back to anger. You will not react with anger for anger because with anger, connecting to anger, create more anger. What
okay?
do? You will have your mindfulness and compassion. You will listen to that person, that person will reduce the anger because you don't get support to develop that anger.
Okay. Say that last part again.
Simply, you do not lose yourself or your calmness or who you are due to the angry person's reaction.
Okay.
You present who you are, they let that person to reflect that person back. Think about this, you walk into place and you are screaming, but others are don't respond to that anger. Then you feel, okay, something wrong with me because they don't get that anger. They don't react in the same way. Then you see yourself from them. Oh, what's wrong with you? Then you feel bad because you did something wrong, and that gives you a chance to check with yourself back and calm yourself down.
Hmm.
But if you have a friendly reaction, still friendly reaction, not judging reaction, and helping reaction in front of you, that will helpful you to calm yourself down, and also you will feel some safety, and you will say, and you will feel some comfortable environment and comfortable be around those people because those people are not judging you or not blaming you. That is the environment you will be provided with mindful person.
Hmm.
Now, if I give you another example, think about this. When something happened to some person young, those people, somebody younger would like to go to their grandparents. Why? Grandparents treat them without judgment, support them. But parents might judge them, parents might advise them, parents have expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Same parents, when they become grandparents, they're different. Then they treat grandkids differently than their own kids. Because then that non-judgmental part is there. You have unconditional love.
Hmm.
That's what you provide as a mindful person. You have unconditional, you are treating others.
Hmm. Okay. I want to talk about something a little bit different. What happens when you're the one that gets angry or you're the one that's agitated? How do you reconcile that? So for example, there is a book called The Dark Side of the Light Catchers.
Mhm.
And in the premise is that we're all whole and complete. We have all of these various emotions and feelings and thoughts and that's it. That what's what's seen in a negative light in one area is a positive in another. My daughter's really stubborn. She's very difficult to parent, but that's really useful if she's on a date with a boy and he gets handsy, right? That the idea is that what potentially is negative in one area is a positive in another. And one of the things that she talked about in that book was that if something lights you up about somebody. There's something that just like gets under your skin for some reason. You see something and it bothers you. Like her premise was that that's the part of you that you're not acknowledging.
Hmm.
So if somebody has a new car, that like the base of jealousy is like that you're feeling like you want to express yourself that way, but you can't. So then you have that reaction.
Hmm.
How does mindfulness sort of deal with your more personal and lower energy
Hmm.
emotions?
Yeah. So now this is what happened. We have those reactions when we are not mindful. But this is the advantage of the mindful person. When you have training of mindfulness, you catch yourself really quickly. Oh, this is my jealousy. Oh, now my anger is arising. Then as a mindful person, you go underneath. Why why am I experiencing anger right now? Why am I angry? Then you are saying, oh, my expectation. I'm expecting something else. I don't like this reaction. Oh, I got personally hurt. You are seeing underneath rather going with the reaction.
Okay.
Now, now that mindfulness lead you to have a clarity, then that clarity leads you to have wisdom. Once when you have wisdom, you know this is a reaction I have due to this expectation. Now, these things are happening very quickly for mindful person. They're simply we call them you are seeing yourself.
Okay.
You are seeing what is happening to you. Once when you see yourself in that way, you have wisdom, then that power of anger is not there any longer because you see yourself clearly. Then you can simply smile at you rather blaming at you or rather regretting for the feeling. You are grateful of being angry because that anger help you to see yourself.
So it's like there's like a little bit of a ping pong game going on in your head, and if you're mindful, it's a much quicker game, and because
Right.
you get to the ultimate
You get the
cause
best.
of what it
Yeah.
is, the
Yes.
part. I mean, do you agree with the premise that I mean, does it fit with the mindfulness model that that it's that part of you that you're either ignoring or suppressing or just
That's
not
right.
acknowledging? I
Mm.
mean, does that fit with the whole idea of mindfulness?
Definitely, yes. Then you are mindfully being aware of it. Oh, I am ignoring it. Oh, I am neglecting it. Then you are seeing it. So what happened is then you find the way how you have neglected yourself or you are ignoring yourself. You are ignoring certain things or you have assumed certain things. You notice it. You will have more clarity around it. Once when you have clarity, it's like a healing wounds. You are helping you to get healed rather covering it up, rather patching it up.
Sure. Well, or like holding a beach ball under the water. Eventually, it's going to come back again because
Yeah,
you didn't heal it, you just covered it.
that's correct. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is kind of fun.
Yes,
So
I would say mindfulness is really fun.
it
I tell
is.
you, it's really fun.
Well, you're spending time where you live. I mean, everybody lives in their own head, you know.
That's right.
Um, but I think there's a what do you think the biggest challenges are for people to being mindful? Is it the number of distractions? Is it the fear of what's in that mirror? I mean, why do you think people are reticent to do this type of
So
work?
actually, the challenges and outside influences or uncertainty, those are there all the time.
Hmm.
The biggest challenge is we are we don't have commitment for ourselves. We don't have commitment for our own well-beingness. Instead, we have a commitment for temporary pleasure and comfort. Even though those things are really for short time or temporary, we are going after that. We have more time. We are spending more time for that. And
Because
this
it's immediate, and I mean, it's a quick
is right.
fix, right? It's
Tasty, yeah,
easy. It's
easy,
easy. Doesn't require any real heavy lifting.
definitely.
Yeah, there was a guy that I heard on another podcast, and he was an immigrant from Romania, and he said, "Easy choices, hard life; hard choices, easy life."
Mhm. Yeah,
And
it is not easy to start meditation. People often ask, "What do you do once when you close your eyes? Can you sit half an hour?" Then usually I said, "Yeah, come and try."
okay, so in the beginning, you said, so what are some things that you would like to leave people with, or if we like, if somebody only got like two things out of this, that they could put into practice right now, what would you want to leave people with?
Well, I want really people to ask themselves, do you to check with themselves, do they really love themselves? If they really love themselves, what do you do to help you to grow?
What
And
if the answer is no?
nothing we can do for those people, because that means that person is not responsible for oneself. And how come you can love others without loving yourself?
Hmm,
Because the mindfulness is not working with people who don't have determination.
hmm,
You have to have determination to work with mindfulness. It required some qualities to practice mindfulness. Determination is one of them. The self-respect is another one. You have to have a certain respect for yourself. The person who don't have self-respect, they don't know how to respect others.
hmm.
And
Well, it
being
goes back to that. I mean, when I was volunteering in an organization, and there's a lot of people that come from a tremendous amount of brokenness.
Mhm.
I mean, is it enough to just have a little bit of, like, is there a light? Is this something that can expand? I mean, you're not saying, I mean, I want to make sure we're clear. You're not saying if the answer to no is that, well, then, enjoy your miserable life. It's finding that small space where there is, and then,
Actually, I would say everybody has space.
okay.
Everybody can do that. Everybody has opportunity. But what I'm not saying is some people don't have that willingness to see. If they have willingness, they can find so many abilities that they have, opportunities they have. Like everybody have ability to love. That's everybody attracted to love. Even though they say, I don't want to love anybody.
Yeah. Maybe they find a puppy and then they can express love, and then it starts to grow
Yeah.
from that, like somebody lighting a candle and another candle and another candle. And okay. So, and I interrupted you. That was your first thing, but so, and what was the second thing? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And the second thing is I want to ask people, uh, so think about and what kind of person you want to be. What kind
Okay.
of person you want to be. Or maybe kind by expanding that question, somebody can think, what kind of person I want to be at my death or when I'm dying. I'm thinking about the mind, state of the mind.
Hmm.
So because somehow we need to learn how to respect ourselves and how to love ourselves, and we have to focus, that focus is leading towards outside world, extroverted attention we have. But once when you have introverted attention and to inside check yourself, really, what do I want? Instead of what I want to do, what do I want?
Hmm.
That way you come back to you and check with yourself.
Very
We
good.
always want others to make us happy.
Mm.
But the question is, am I happy? If you are happy, then you can share happiness with others. But if you are not happy, even others give you happiness, you don't know how to get it.
Okay.
So therefore, you need to find way to find yourself.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Bhante. I really appreciate your time, your wisdom. How can people connect? What if they wanted to come and try out the Mindfulness Center? What does that look like? Do they make an
Yes,
appointment? Do they show up? What does that look
actually,
like?
no, anybody can come to our meditation classes. We have right now the classes happening at 9 a.m. Saturday and 9 a.m. Sundays in person. And I would always encourage people to come at least 10 minutes before the class begin, that you get settled. You don't have to have anybody have anything, just come with yourself, but wear some comfortable clothes which you are going to sit down either on the floor or on the chair. And you can keep with your religion with you. You don't have to change your religion. You don't have to believe anything. Just bring yourself. If I tell about our meditation class format, we're going to sit about 30 minutes. Then next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about something, but always the topic come from the audience. Then audience asks the question, then I address that question in next half an hour. Try to bring that question as a common question for everybody. That's our class format, and it's happening usually 1 hour class. And
Terrific.
anybody can check our website, tripplegem.org. That site has all the information about the classes. We have weekly newsletter going on, and it give all the information. Anybody
I'll
can.
put a link in the show notes to your website so people can get more information. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you for
excellent.
having me.
This
It's very good talking with you.
I
Very good.
enjoyed talking with you very much. I'm going to stop recording right now. Oops, that's